So you did last year, wow.
Yes, it's my experience. I did the chocolate one, protein, and I drank it half an hour before I went for my 4-hour run.
Yeah.
And like not even 2 hours into it, I was like really hungry.
Yeah, so, wait, was that in the morning? And so you had no calories in the body?
No, I had eaten breakfast.
What'd you have for breakfast?
Applesauce. No, I didn't eat pizza. Apple. I had a cup of applesauce, a scoop of whey protein, and a banana.
And then when did you have the Ucan? How long?
Half an hour before the run. The breakfast was like 2 hours before.
Yeah, so sometimes, the first thing is that the breakfast you had could have caused that there's a lot of carbohydrates, you know, banana and applesauce, so you might have wanted to maybe increase the protein intake or have something more filling at breakfast. But also, that hunger thing, that sometimes subsides as you get used to using Ucan, or
So you have to acclimate to it.
It
like,
depends on how
break yourself
on what you had before the exercise. So some people we know had a bagel 2 hours before, they have Ucan and they don't get hungry. But did the hunger occur 2 hours in, is what you're saying? So it still lasted you around 2 hours.
Yeah.
So you may have just needed.
But I find like trail running, I fuel myself very differently than I do when because it's low intensity versus triathlon, we're not faster for shorter distance than.
This was a trail run or?
It was a trail run.
So what would you have normally, I'm always curious, what would you have normally done? If you hadn't used Ucan, what would your fuel plan
For that, I would have been on a gel or like 3 shot blocks every 30 minutes.
Yeah, so it may have
So you're still, if you look at that, you're still replacing, right, fueling every 30 minutes. So what may have just happened is you could have taken another, for like a 4-hour effort, that's definitely, like, we generally say a packet lasts 90 minutes to 2 hours. So the solution
So
might
taking
have
a second packet.
taking a second packet of Ucan right at that 2-hour mark, exactly,
So
or
you had
you
a
know.
packet before, and then what you have at the 2 hour mark when you started to get hungry?
I had shot blocks on.
Okay, so that makes sense.
I had to go with me because
So the first thing to understand for anybody here who is fueling with, you know, gels or lots of carbohydrates is that you do kind of want to Ucan together with those for a week or so if you're to help you transition off those sugars. So slowly wean yourself off. Some people like to go cold turkey, and others still use a small amount but try to wean themselves off. We did a trial with the Rabobank cycling team, and the first time we did it, the trial went bad because they were consuming 300 calories of maltodextrin per hour for 4 hours each day. And so although they were these elite triathletes, they were terrible fat burners. So what we realized is first off, we didn't match the calories. So 100 calories of Ucan versus 300 calories, doing that the first time didn't work. And so what they did is over the course of 2 weeks, they slowly weaned themselves off the sports drink, only having maybe 100 calories per hour of maltodextrin and 100 calories of Ucan per hour.
You added some protein to their breakfast too, right? You took a look at their breakfast.
And took a look at their breakfast to make sure that they didn't have too many sugar-based carbs beforehand. So they had more eggs and cottage cheese and just swapped out a little bit of that. And over the course of 2 weeks, their fat burning increased tremendously, but what really sold them was that their power output went up on the bike. And so it took a little bit of time.
what is an appropriate type of breakfast before you?
Well, so when I look at what you did, I mean, ballparking, you had about 58 grams of carbs and 20 grams of protein. I think what I found a lot of success with is balancing out the carb to protein ratio a lot more. So I would decrease the amount of carbs, even though they're good carbs and they're coming from organic, fruit sources. So you think, oh, it's healthy. It still isn't the way. I mean, we can go right back to a chart and see what it's going to do to your insulin levels by putting in that many grams of carbs to start your day. My breakfast is the same every single day. It's always 2 or 3 eggs, depending on the level of workout that I have, piece of cheese, turkey sausage. It's boring, but it's the same thing every single day. It's very protein heavy. And if I have a big workout that day, I'll add in fruit with peanut butter, something like that. But in the end, I'm getting upwards of...
Then you have the Ucan right before the work...
And then I'll have the Ucan right before the workout. Yeah, if I have a really big workout, what I'll do is I'll just make the Ucan into a smoothie. So I'll put some fruit in, but I'll put in equal amounts of protein. So that I'm still getting a 1-to-1, no more than 2-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein. And I never feel that spike or anything like that. Knowing your diet specifically, not calling you out now that we've got you on video or anything, but it's a more carb-heavy diet. And I think, speaking from personal experience, when I first tried Ucan 2 years ago, it didn't work as well for me. It worked better than my other nutritional supplements did, but it didn't work as well as it did this time around when I made a change to my daily nutritional intake. And the biggest shift for me was that I was probably eating, honestly, a 6 or 7-to-1 carb to protein ratio before, whereas now I eat 1.5-to-1 or 1-to-1 carb to protein.
And I think what Greg said is so significant because, we don't want to come here and say, like, you guys have to rework your entire diet to be able to use Ucan. I mean, That's great, Greg can tell you, yeah.
Right, all of those
Sorry,
that are
but
my
what-
clients, you have to rework your whole diet.
But, so the thing is, like, when you were talking about, feeling hungry after 2 hours, I mean, that's still not bad, right? Getting consistent energy for 2 hours. So for a lot of people, they'll say, that's good for me. I'm happy eating, similar to the way I have, and I'll throw a Ucan in there, and I'll get 90 minutes at a time, 90 minutes to 2 hours of that steady energy, no problem. If you do the dietary changes, it's only gonna enhance the effect. Then you're gonna, be like Greg, who's doing a sub-9 hour Ironman on 750 calories. I mean, that's the high-end potential that the product has, but that's not necessarily what works for everybody. So, you wanna balance it where you're still able to eat foods you enjoy. And the big thing that we like to say with Ucan is this will hopefully make you enjoy the exercise. I mean, you guys are working out so hard out there, you don't want the nutrition to hold you back, or you don't want to have to just be, taking in all these calories and not getting the exact body composition results that you're desiring with working out so hard. So Ucan's simply gonna enhance that effect. So we got a little ahead of ourselves just in terms of talking about, the two features of the product. Yeah, go ahead.
So in terms of your 4 hour, bout, first off, the best way to start out with Ucan, if someone is used to, using sugars for longer exercise, is simply have a packet or a scoop before an hour to hour and a half workout and see how it feels. But for yours, I would have just probably had a serving every 60 to 90 minutes to start out. And even if you had that breakfast before, that would have maintained you a lot more. And then over time, you'll notice that it lasts you longer as you become better at burning fat and as the product starts working for you even more so. So, for anybody here who just, goes to the gym for an hour or does an hour run, you can really replace this at half a banana or having a meal 2 hours before, but then overeating afterward or just not having steady.
That would be what, just like a scoop? If you do like, say, an hour's swim or something?
Have just a scoop 30 minutes before. I mean, if I had this when I swam in high school,
Yeah.
I mean, I gained 30 pounds in 9th grade and 30 pounds in 10th grade, and I was swimming an hour in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. And what did my mom give me for dinner after that? I was having pasta and meatballs for dinner, and I was trying to rely on, I had sugar and Red Bull, and a bag of soy crisps for 2 hours of exercise. No wonder I was just depleting my sugars in my body, not burning enough fat, and then I was, gaining weight. So that's why it spurred me into nutrition. So I guess, thank God I gained 60 pounds that year.
You do like 30 minutes before, and then during the workout, up to 90 minutes, just water? Like you don't need
Yeah, so
anything
we're your
else, or-
fuel source. So you'd have sugar-free electrolytes. People sometimes do a diluted sports drink just for the flavor, but maybe just keep a quarter of the bottle and fill the rest with water.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, one packet can last you anywhere between an hour and 3 hours. 3 hours is really those people that really react strongly to it. And so you want to have it every 60 to 90 minutes to keep it up, especially when you're going over 2 hours in general.
So, sorry, another question. I read Greg's race report for Sweden, right? That was the race that you did, the 750, right? So I noticed that you combine it with the tablets, so that, what are they called, Noon?
Of Noon, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so what did you find was missing from Ucan?
So one of the things for me, the reason that I first found Bob Seabar, who's now my coach, not just my nutrition coach, but my everything coach, life coach. One of the big things that I found is that I am a heavy sweater, not necessarily in volume, but in the amount of electrolytes that I sweat out. So it's really easy for me to get symptoms of heat exhaustion, even in relatively cool conditions, upper 70s, low 80s. What we found is that I needed a lot more sodium in my diet. So we started a program of acute sodium loading. It's one of the things that I was really careful to stress in that thing, like do not do exactly what I do without talking to me first.
Right.
So I do a lot of sodium the day before, many grams of sodium, enough that, it's uncomfortable. It hurts your stomach, it's not a good feeling. When I was on, the previous nutrition product that I was using was Infinite, and I had a customized blend, and I was taking in 500 grams of sodium an hour, which was a lot. When I switched over to Ucan, there's significantly less sodium in it, and even with the tab of Noon, there's still significantly less sodium than there is in Infinite. But what I found is that by having just, and all I do is one tab in each bottle, so I put 2 bottles on the bike, that lasts me for a 4.5 hour ride, less than 5 hour ride. 2 tabs of Noon, a tab of Noon only has not very much, 100 grams of sodium or something like that. So the point was, between these 2 bottles now, I was getting by on, I don't know, a total of maybe 300 grams of sodium, whereas I was doing 1,500
Yeah,
before.
there's 230 milligrams of sodium per packet.
Grams would be bad.
so.
Is it grams?
I said grams, yeah. You'd be dead if you did what I just told you.
Yeah.
500 grams? Yeah, I was about to say, that's like,
Sorry.
Yes.
That's a lot.
So I was doing 500
it's like a handful.
I was doing 500 milligrams per hour. So I was doing 15, I was doing a gram and a half, that's what I was doing.
Okay.
And, or I'm sorry, I was doing 5 hours, I was doing 2.5
Yeah.
grams, yeah.
So that's the big thing, right? So UCAN has electrolytes, but to speak to what Greg's saying, that's what we have found is that's the little bit of the customizable aspect. Some folks don't at all, like for a marathon, for example, we have many folks that don't find the need to supplement with additional electrolytes. The issue is when you're getting up to those Ironman distances, you know, the 10, 12, 14 hours out there, then suddenly because you're consuming significantly less UCAN than you would of your other nutrition, even though one serving has an equivalent amount, like for example, more sodium and potassium than a bottle of Gatorade, you're not consuming nearly as much of this. That's when you really have the need to supplement with additional electrolytes. So, you know, we'll talk a little bit of usage, and then definitely